Good afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Frank Gaetano here, live from the Hail Palace with your daily 12 p.m. forecast. As always, sponsored by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, and the American Contractor Show. Make sure you check those guys out in the description to this video. So going into our headlines, we do have Storm System Brandon continuing today with strong winds, and unfortunately we're expecting several, possibly a lot of tornadoes in the southeast today. So we're going to be talking about that, and then that transitions towards the east tomorrow with a little bit of a lesser risk. We're looking for more of a moderate to low end wind risk, and then a moderate to low-end hail risk in the northeast, so that's going to transition eastward tomorrow. And then after that, we're going to take a peek at the jet stream and look ahead to see when the possibility of Storm System Carter could be moving into the plains next week. First, we have an upcoming event. The Beacon Grand Opening is going to be in Aurora, Colorado on April 14th. That's going to be at 14200 East Moncrief Place. I hope I pronounced that right. If I didn't, let us know in the comments and you can roast me all you want. But yeah, it's going to be on April 14th, so come out. They're opening their new brick and mortar area. So grand opening for Beacon is going to be on April 14th. Come out to that. So here's our current conditions right now. We got Storm System Brandon moving eastward and affecting the southeast right now, so we'll zoom in down there. We have this big squall line stretching all the way from Arkansas down towards the Houston area. We have a couple of tornado watches out for the area, and all those red little polygons there, those are actually current tornado warnings for this system, and that's going to transition eastward throughout the day. We could see the possibility of some supercell thunderstorms developing out ahead of this system. We see something developing out ahead of that right now, and those could be affecting the Memphis area specifically. I think would be the earliest one where those supercells would get there. So we're going to zoom out, take a look at the temperatures. You see all that cold air behind Brandon as it transitions eastward across the southeast, and that also transitions to the dew points here. A lot of moisture in the area. You can actually see the line of where that deep moisture ends and that dry air starts to move in. So there's a lot of moisture to work with these storms, and it's kind of what you need for tornadoes. So we're expecting a lot of tornadoes out of this squall line, some what we call a QLCS tornado. They're the little spin-ups that are right at the edge, the leading edge of that squall line. So we're expecting several of those today as this goes and moves across the southeast. Take a look at our significant tornado parameter. So this is basically, it takes several conditions in the atmosphere that the models are predicting and shows where the best conditions for strong tornadoes are. So as you can see, there's some deep colors here in Louisiana, and as that goes on throughout the day, we see even deeper colors in eastern Louisiana, and then over by Jackson, Mississippi, and going down towards the Gulf Coast, New Orleans area. It's going to keep moving eastward, and as we get into tonight, this is concerning to me. The Mobile, Alabama area, I think they have a pretty high risk of seeing potentially a strong tornado in the area later tonight around 10 p.m. towards midnight. So if you're in that area, make sure you pay attention because the significant tornado parameter is showing really good conditions for the possibility of strong tornadoes in that area. And then as this transitions eastward, we do see that start to go down towards tomorrow morning. What's the radar going to look like? So let this run through here. These are the little cells I was talking about popping up near Memphis here in the afternoon hours as that squall line makes its approach. So those could be tornadic, and then it's going to keep moving eastward. The tornado threat does go down a little bit the further north you get, but we do still have the risk for strong, severe thunderstorm winds, 60 to 70 miles per hour in Paducah, Evansville, down through the Nashville area, and then possibility of even stronger winds as you move further south as we let this radar play through to the east. It starts to weaken in the overnight hours going into tomorrow morning. So I think sometime after midnight, the further north you get, that wind risk is going to go down a little bit. Let's move south to the southern portion of the radar, and we see I stopped it right here where we have that squall line moving through Jackson. That's going to be later this afternoon around 5 p.m. And we see the possibility of some cells popping up. That's what the models are picking up here as it continues eastward, and that's around 8 p.m. We see the southern part of this line going through the New Orleans area and we let this play through again. And this is what I talk about, 10 p.m. area. We see those cells popping up around Mobile, Alabama as the line sags back towards the southwest and pushes through from 10 p.m. through the midnight hour. And we're still in Mobile area, possibility of storms in Montgomery then. And we're going to let this keep pushing eastward. And that's when places like Pensacola, Panama City, Tallahassee could start seeing those strong winds and possibility of tornadoes going into the early morning hours tomorrow. So graphically, our hail forecast, this is pretty low end risk for hail. Not crazy, but the risk is there for hail up to $half size. It's low end risk for Memphis, low end for Tupelo, Mississippi. Jackson, Mississippi, you also are in the risk for this. New Orleans and Mobile probably have the best chance at seeing that hail later tonight and into the overnight hours, but instability isn't going to be very high. So if you do see it, isolated quarters possibly with any of that stuff. So we have a low end risk for hail, and then this is the more major risk. Here's our wind risk for today. Anywhere you see the dark shaded blue area, that's an elevated risk for even stronger winds, up to 74 to 95 miles per hour. So hurricane force wind gusts. Moderate risk for Paducah for winds 60 to 70 miles per hour. Low end risk for Evansville, moderate risk for Nashville. And then we're going to start moving into the high risk areas of Memphis. High risk for you guys. Jackson, Mississippi, high risk. And anywhere you see this hatched area I have here, that's going to be your best risk area. Well, best is the bad word. Your worst risk area for the possibility of tornadoes from this squall line today. And so anywhere you see these red dots, those are going to be your highest risk areas for the strongest winds and the possibility of tornadoes. We do have a moderate risk for those tornadoes in New Orleans as well, and Alexandria, Louisiana. So that's today's risk. Let's move on to tomorrow. Here's going to be the radar. Starting tomorrow morning around 6 a.m., we see this start to move east, and this is going to be a little bit weaker. There's not as much good shear in the atmosphere for the possibility of those tornadoes. It's a non-zero chance, but it is less than today. So it's going to push eastward with the possibility of strong gusty winds from 60 to 70 miles per hour anywhere where you see the squall line moving through in the southeast and the mid-Atlantic states. And that's going to push off the coast tomorrow evening, and then that's going to be it for the risk as far as the wind goes for this area of the country. And then up in the northeast, I mentioned that earlier, we do have the risk for some hail and wind up there, where you see these cells popping up here, Pennsylvania, down in the DC and Baltimore area in the early afternoon hours. And then that's also going to start pushing eastward and northeastward for those cells. And then going into the evening, instability is going to drop, and that hail risk is going to drop with it as that moves off the coast. So here's what that hail forecast is going to look like. As we zoom here into the northeast, it's a pretty low end risk for hail up to $half size. Like I mentioned before, Baltimore, DC, Philadelphia, and Binghamton, New York. We also have Scranton, Pennsylvania, State College, Pennsylvania. You guys are going to be in the risk as well for that hail up to $half size. And our more broad risk is going to be for wind. That's going to go all the way up the coast, up into southern New York. So we're talking Florida up to southern New York. Let's zoom in here, talk some cities. Moderate risk for those gusty winds up to 70 miles per hour for Tallahassee, Jacksonville, Savannah, and then the further north that you get for this risk is going to be the lower end chances here in the mid-Atlantic states. So we have low end risk for places like Raleigh, Wilmington, Virginia Beach. And then it's going to bump it up back to a moderate risk if those cells can hit the cities of DC and Baltimore and Scranton. So you're going to have a moderate risk for those gusty winds up to 70 miles per hour. So we talked about those 2 days. Now let's talk about the possibility of the system for next week. So here's our current system. This is going to be pushing off, moving northeastward, and then off the coast on Friday morning into the afternoon. And then we reset through the weekend, a little bit of a zonal pattern here, possibility of some areas of thunderstorms if we can get some shortwave troughs to kick in through the plains. But then we go into Sunday and we see the next trough starting to move in from the northwest. This is possibly going to be Storm System Carter. So Storm System Carter is going to dig to the southeast, and you see this trough amplify here. So this would be a risk for the plains on Monday. So this would be starting on Monday going into Tuesday and possibly Wednesday as we see that transition towards the east. So make sure you guys stay up to date so we can continue to keep you updated on this. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We are at Hail Trace for all of those. And if you want to get in contact with us, 855-334-4245 is our phone number. If you want to email us, info@hailtrace.com, or you can go straight to our website, hailtrace.com. We have a chat box in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. You can chat with our customer service representatives in there. For Hail Trace, I'm meteorologist Frank Gaetano. Everybody have a great rest of your Wednesday.